Well, our next guest is a local author who tells the story of Lost Cove, North Carolina, a town that is no more, a vanished community. Christy Smith brings history to life in this book, and we are honored to have her with us today here in our studio. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you and I were talking just a little bit ago. I said, what made you decide to write this book and to really get into the history? And you said it was just so interesting, and you used to hike up there.
Yes, I started hiking into Lost Cove at the age of 10. And so with my family and my mother's and co-workers. And so one of the ladies she worked with was actually family that lived in Lost Cove. So we started hiking in by the railroad tracks in Unaka Springs. And it's about a 2.5 to 3 mile hike on the railroad tracks. And then you have to hike about 3/4 of a mile up into the community. And so at one time there were close to 100 people that lived there.
Wow, and if you're a history buff, which you are, yes, fascinating to think about what happened in this area that you can no longer really get to unless you hike in.
Yes, exactly. You can. There's several routes you can go into Lost Cove. A lot of people go by Flat Top Mountain, which is about 3,500 feet, and they drop down into the community on a Lost Cove trail. So it's close to 1,000-foot drop. So yeah, so you can go by the railroad tracks too.
And we're looking at some of the video. Of course, when you published this book, I know you got together with one of our reporters and talked about this community and what's left, and then, you know, if these walls could talk, because it was once a thriving community.
It was. Like I said, close to 100 people lived there from 1864 till 1957. So there were a lot of changes in the community. You know, they were self-sufficient, of course. They were independent. And families helped each other. There were Millers, Baileys, Tiptons, you know, Arwoods, and so yeah, it was really, you know, they grew crops, they hunted mushrooms. Some men worked for the railroad, but they also had sawmills up there that they worked as well and helped build their houses out of.
Wow. And I know for you, you went back and did a lot of interviews and collected all of this research. What was that like for you putting this together?
Well, it was really amazing because I'm a talker, you know, and my mother was a talker. And so getting and collecting oral stories is what I love. I love to storytell. I love learning history about our region and more each day. And so growing up, being out there in the community and trampling through the mountains was the best opportunity for me, because collecting those stories, you know, puts emphasis to their lives, you know, their lives. And so that's what I wanted to do, is preserve them and, you know, collect all the stories, collect the documents, the historical deeds, all that information. So it will go into the archives of Appalachia ATSU too.
Very cool. And I know you were telling me you're at King University, so still teaching history and love what you do, and you're doing a talk coming up.
I am. I will be at Johnson City Public Library on Saturday, the 22nd, this Saturday, from 2 to 4. And then actually in the morning, I will be at the Jam fundraiser for junior Appalachian musicians at University School on ETSU campus from 10 to about 1.
What's it like? You're holding the book right there, a published book that I know you worked, I'm sure, night and day on. What's it like for you as an author to hold that?
Oh, it's wonderful. I've always wanted to be an author from the age of 16. And so it took me a long time to complete this book, just for all the research and to make sure that everything was correct, you know. But yeah, I will be publishing more as soon as I finish teaching this semester. I will start on another book. So.
Wow. Well, congratulations on this one.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's interesting and wonderful book. And she is doing that author talk that she talked about right there at the Johnson City Public Library. That's coming up Saturday afternoon, so you can meet her there and learn more about her book. Christy, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.